Welcome to Microsoft Power Automate training videos. In this video, we'll discuss about variables in Microsoft Flows, and also we'll see what are the data types are available for the variables, and we'll initialize the variables and we'll try to set the values to the variables. And also we can able to increment and decrement the variable values, depends upon the requirement. We can do that. And also we can able to append the string to the string way, like if you declare a variable as a string, you want to append a string to that existing variable, you can able to do that. And also we can append the values to the array variables as well, that we'll discuss in this video. So for that, I'm going back to the make.powerautomate.com, and in the previous videos we have discussed on this uh, Power Automate flow, which is a manual flow. You can see it's a manual trigger flow, and we have used get items and we have used apply to each. So here we'll learn how to initialize the variable. To initialize the variable, when you click this add an action, you can see a couple of actions here, and we'll try to search for the variables. And when we click these variables, we can able to see the different type of actions which are available related to the variables. So one is append to array variable, another one is append to string variable, and we have decrement variable, increment variable, and we have initialize variable. So when you click this initialize variable, and it will show total three options here. One is name of the variable, the type, the data type of the variable, and the value of the variable. Now here I don't want to use much in the program, but I just want to declare a variable here. So I'm just giving a variable name called um, test var. And if you click this one, you can able to see a couple of data types. One is boolean, so it returns only true and false, and another one is integer. If you want to pass any values which is related to the numerics, you can able to use this one. So this is for floating points. If you have any fractional points, you can use this float. And we have a string, and if you have any alphanumeric you want to utilize, you can go with the string. And you want to declare any object, you can able to declare with object. And the last one is array. Array is nothing but a collection of values. Now I'll take this as a string, and if you want to give any value you can, or you can keep empty because you are just initializing the variable here. So what I'm doing here, so I'm just giving name as Rishan here. Will reutilize this one later. Now if you have after this one, you can see the get items, and you have apply each, and I'm trying to initialize the variable here in the apply each. You can see the response from the Power Automate, and I'll try to see, I'm trying to initialize the variable. So when I try to initialize the variable, I'm getting an error message here. The operation initialize variable can only be used at the top level. So which means if you are in apply to each, you cannot able to declare the variable, but you can able to set the variable. And here you can able to use the set variable, and you can call this test var. And earlier I have just taken as Rishan. Now I just changed this one to something called technologies, and it will update like this. But here I have an update item. I'll remove this one, this is not required this point of time, and I'll click OK. So here anyhow this apply each is running, but it will not affect on the program because I just removed that update item. So if you want to test this one, you can able to test. So once you test, you can able to see the output which is giving. And if I come back, and if I take like manually also would be fine, I can take test, and which is connecting, and click run now, and click done. Now when we initialize the variable, the value of test var is Rishan, and if you go to the apply each, and every time of course it is looping, but the finally the output of this test var would be the technologies only. So this way you can declare the variable in the top, and if it is required to set the variable, you can able to set the variable also, which means in the declaration the value is not mandatory, but when you are setting, and you have to pass a value, and that will update the value which you given in the set variable. So that is initializing a variable and setting the variable. But there is no much difference here. You can see, like, you just declare a variable and you just update the data. And now what we'll do is we'll declare another variable with an integer data type. So I'll take this add an action, and then I'll use this variable, and I'm trying to initialize the variable. Now we'll open this list, this modern site, and the departments list, and I'll type this departments. In these departments we have a title, but title is having like a couple of numbers and couple of strings which is passed. But what I want is I want to update from 1 to 3 to the maximum number, how many we have. I want to update like that. So for that I'm initializing a variable called title var, and then I'm declaring this as an integer. I'm giving in a value 1, and I'm getting the records from this list. And then I have this apply each. We'll check is there any filter query. So I'll remove this or data filter query. Now we don't have anything. Now in the set variable I'll change this one from test var to title var, and I don't want to utilize this. Actually we'll keep it, or we'll delete, whatever you want you can able to do. But what I want is I want to increment the variable value. So for that I'll type this increment. I'll take this increment variable. Now I'll take this title variable, and then the value I just want to increase with a 1, which means the very first time it will update with 1, and the next time it will update with 2. So for that what I'll do is I'll try to take this update item here, update item, and I'll select this site, modern site for demo, and the list is departments list. Select the departments, and the ID of the item would be I'll take from this get items. So which means every time the loop runs again, and the ID number will change automatically. And I'll take the same title from the get items. And finally I want to, actually I don't want to keep the title, I want to update with the variable. So for that we have this title var. So we are incrementing the title var by 1. So initially it would be 1, and it will increment by 1. So the next time it would be 2, for a next item it would be 3, for next item it would be 3, 4, something like that. It will increase. So what we did is we just declared a variable with a name called title var, and we have taken a data type as an integer, and the value would be 1. And finally in the apply each, every time we are incrementing that variable by 1. So I'll take this. So there is something called, so this is not right, and I'll delete this one. Click OK. Now that's not required. Now we'll try to test this one manually, and then take save. And once it is saved, we'll use this. Okay, that's fine, no problem. We want to get all items, so click run now. Now until here it is successfully ran, and now this apply each is running because we have total 24 items. We'll wait for a while, and we'll try to refresh the list once it completes. Come back here. Now here we have a lot of values, but when we refresh this one, now you can able to see 1 2 3 4 until we have 24. So this is like incrementing the variable here in this Power Automate. So we are incrementing by 1 every time, so it will increase, and then it will append to your list. So this is what happened here in this. Now what I want is I don't want to keep in this manner, I want to keep in a reverse manner. Like this item value would be 24, and then I want to decrement the value by 1. So for that also we can use the same variable which is declared. Now I'll put this one in edit mode. I'll take this as a 24, and then I'll remove this increment variable. I'll delete this one, click OK, and then add an action here. So we have another variable called the decrement. I'll take this decrement variable and I'll take this title var, and this one also I'll decrement by 1 itself. And we'll try to test this one, save and test. Okay, so this error which is coming, why? Because like updating action get items to user or data filter query can improve the performance of your flow. So which means if you have a large number of items, and this would be helpful, but I want to update all the items, so that's why this is not required. Now I'll click this run now, click done. Now again this apply to each is running. It will take a couple of seconds because it has to update almost 24 items. This is completed, done. So now when you come back to your list, you can able to see the first item number is 24, and then it is decremented by 1 every time, and then finally, so we have 24, 23, 22 until 10, 9, 18. Okay, until 19, which is fine, and after that you can able to see the 17, 18, 19 to 24. I have to refresh this one, I think. Okay, now you can able to see properly 24 until 1. So this is perfect. Now initially we have declared a variable value is 24, and which is decremented by 1, and then 1, then 1, and finally which reaches to 1. So this way you can able to increment the variable, you can able to decrement the variable. So we have used initializing the variable, and we have used setting up the variable value inside the flow. Now what we'll see is, for example, I have a variable which is declared here with a Rishan. Now I want to append the string to this. So for that, what I'll do is I'll try to add an action here. So the action name is append string to variable. Now I'll take this test var. Now I'll take this, I'll try to append another string to this, which is solutions. Initially the test var string value is Rishan. I appended text as solutions. I'll give some space here. I'll give some space. Now I want to see the output here. To see the output, what I'm trying to do is I'll take a action name called compose. Compose will help you to do a different type of data operations we'll discuss in the upcoming sessions. Now I'll move this one here, and here I'll take this test variable. Now we have couple of actions here. This is not required, but this point of time what we are doing is, now I have taken this test var, the value of the test variable is Rishan, and then I'm appending the text to that existing variable which is solutions. Now I passed that values to compose. Now we'll try to test this one manually, save and test, and then we'll click run now. Click run now. Done. Now this will take some time, but we'll see this compose output. Now you can able to see the output of this compose is Rishan solutions, because the initially this variable value is Rishan, and we just appended the string to the existing one, which is space and solutions. So that's why the output of this variable would be Rishan solutions, and this variable now you can able to use in updating any of the item, and there also you can able to see this value, because initially which is declared with the value Rishan, and we just appended the solutions value to that. The same way we have another action that we'll discuss now. Before discussing that, uh, this apply to is not required here. I'll delete this one because it will take some time to execute. Now I'll declare another variable which is like initialize variable, or you can directly type variable. You can able to see the variables. Now I'm initializing a variable. I'll give a name called uh, emp, or maybe I'll just give a name called numbers, and then I'll take this one as array. In this array I'll declare a variables. This is array, so that's why I'm using this square braces. I'm trying to pass a string inside the array, so that's why I'm taking double quotes. Now I'm typing 1, and I'll take this one, and then I'll type 2, and then 3. So I have 3 values in the array. This is the declaration. I'll use one more action here. The action name is append to array variable. Now the variable is numbers. Now I'm passing 4 here. The value 4 I have given. Now I'll use compose again here. Use compose. I'll take the variable as numbers. That's it. So we just declare the array of variables, and in this variable I have taken 3 values, 1 2 3. 3 values I have taken. Now I have used another action name called append to array variable. Now I have appended the value as 4 here. Now I call this variable into compose. Now we'll try to run this one. So for that, go to test and click save and test. Okay, again we are getting the same error, and from the get items, click this one, click done. Okay, which is completed. When we go here, and this array contains 1 2 3, and then append to array which contains only one value, which is called 4. If you go to compose, now you can able to see 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4. So which means we have appended the 4th value to the array. This way you can able to add the string to this string variable, and you can use this append to array variable, and you can able to add the values to arrays. So this is pretty easy, and you have to take the action and you have to pass the value which will append to the existing string there, and it will add the another value to the array as well. So we have these actions in the variables. I'll try to edit this one once again, and click this one, and go to add action and type variables. If you select this variable, so here uh, we have used this initializing the variable. This is most important. So if you want to use any of these variable related actions, the first action would be initializing the variable. So once you initialize the variable only, you can able to set the value, you can able to increment the value, you can able to decrement the value, and if it is a string, you can able to append the string to the existing string variable. And if you declared as a variable, and then you can able to append some values to the array variable as well. So these are the total 6 actions we have related to the variables. And again I'm explaining, we already discussed in the Power App videos, variables actually uses to hold the temporary values, which means if you want to keep a value to a specific variable, and you can able to do that, and later point of time, maybe in the apply each, or maybe when you are updating the item, or when you are sending an email, or maybe when you are adding an item to a SharePoint list, you can able to utilize this variable values. And for example, if you have an existing item which you are getting, and later point of time you are updating that item, but you want to keep the old value into a variable, and later you want to utilize that in your flow, you can able to utilize this one. Again, this is limited to your flow, so this will not you cannot able to call, or you cannot able to utilize the declared variables in the flow. So that is only available within the flow. So we have discussed about a local and global variables inside Power Apps, but here we don't have any local and global variables concept. Of course, when you declare this variable values and you want to pass it to somewhere, you can able to pass that values to somewhere. Maybe if you're having an Power App and you are responding that to an Power App, or you are using an HTTP request and you want to pass the values to your HTTP request, you can able to utilize these variables. These variables will play a major role when you are doing a bigger bigger flow design, and this will be very helpful to minimize the effort, and to minimize the connection data from the other places. And of course we'll discuss how to utilize this in the approval process, how to utilize this in the email, and we'll check that one in the upcoming videos.